Hey everyone, I'm Melissa Hambrick Jackson, and welcome to Digging In. Digging In is where we talk with leaders and really listen to their leadership journey and look at milestones in their leadership journey where they dug in and they really grew as leaders. We're picking up where we left off from last month, where we are looking at the leadership journey and those milestones. We have Dr. Larry Little with us again today, so thank you for being here again.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. Thank you for allowing me to be here. And isn't it just really awesome to be able to invest in our team and your great leadership for them, but to provide this opportunity to talk a little bit about our journey, our milestones. And, you know, we mentioned it on the last time, 22 years, you're kidding me. But it's a lot of fun to have the kind of people that we have to work with and that has been, you know, really the truth is that God has assembled in the last 22 years for us. It's just, I was thinking about that since our last conversation, and man, Melissa, we've just been blessed, haven't we?
We sure have.
Yeah, it's been
we
good.
have. You know, it's such an honor to have people together, our team, that share the same thought process, that share the same culture, that work so hard to lead so well. And they've led us well in the midst of 22 years.
Yeah, that's right. That's just very true. So that's why it's important, I think, to have this conversation. You know, to talk about a leadership journey, to talk about how do you be intentional about moving through your life as a leader, if that's what you choose to do, right? So I think this is very timely and just glad to have the opportunity, appreciate the opportunity to have a conversation with you around the milestones of leadership.
So we're going to pick up with the third and fourth milestone. So remembering back to the last time that we met last month, the first milestone is choosing. Remember, that's making that literal choice to choose to lead. Maybe it's a one-time choice, maybe it's a weekly, daily choice where you're choosing to be in the game. You're choosing to be in the leadership arena and work hard to lead yourself and to lead others. And remember the second piece too, that's the competency, really being devoted to building your skill, being devoted to learn from your failures, your mistakes, and things that have gone well too. So today we want to look at 3 and 4 of that milestone journey and hear some pieces, Larry, from your experience and your leadership journey as well.
Yeah, so that third milestone is capacity. But you know, don't think about it as capacity meaning, you know, we're going to increase our wealth or we're going to increase no, it's really about increasing our influence. That capacity to how do we grow a team? Really, that's really what it is. How do you grow a team around you, right? And I think, Melissa, this is probably one of the most difficult. It really is hard to do this. This is hard. I will say this, you know, you've heard me say this. People talk about, well, you guys just teach soft skills. No, we teach very hard skills. This is hard. This is what we're talking about, these milestones. It means working, and you have to work to get from one milestone to another. So if you're going to move from being competent, okay, I'm working on myself, I'm working on my skills. If you're going to move from that to truly leading others or leading a team, in other words, growing your capacity to lead, if you're going to do that, it takes an awful lot of work. And this, I'll be honest with you, this was perhaps the one I struggled with the most. It was hard. Not only professionally, but personally. If you think about capacity means, how do I improve my relationships? How do I improve my relationships at home? How do I improve my relationships as a team? How do I hire the right people? How do I develop the right friendships? How do I, and you know, the biggest fallacy is that you can hire somebody and just, you know, teach them or train them into the culture. Teach them or train them to be a good fit. You just can't. But there's so many factors into that, variables, because first they have to want it, second they have to have the competencies to do it, all those things. So this one's tough. And I think as leaders, if you say, well, I'm not leading a team, well, maybe, but what about your team at home? What about those you care about? What about those you are in a relationship with? Growing that capacity. So in order to really reach that milestone of capacity building, the first thing we really have to work on is our EQ. We have to understand where others are. We have to understand how to invest, not just that we want to, not just that we choose to, but understanding how to have those significant relationships. And that applies to teams. You and I have had this discussion many times, and I've made some mistakes around hiring, and then I've had to go clean up those mistakes. And it's because I didn't have that capacity milestone developed in my leadership yet. I think it's important. So building strong teams and building strong relationships is really, without this third milestone, what is leadership if we don't have that piece down? And I think it takes some work, but I also think it takes really focusing on your EQ, which is being self-aware, of course, but also being and managing yourself, but also being socially aware of what's going on in the room. What do we really need? What's going on in my team right now? I understand they're all different. They're all different personalities, and I lead each person differently. I can say the same thing in the same way. If I have a team of 10 people, they're going to everyone hear me differently. Another mistake I made in growing my leadership is that I used to think that I could just say anything and everybody would hear the same thing, and I was really limiting my capacity.
I think I agree with you. I think this one is one of the harder ones. Because at this point, building capacity, it's about our team. It's about building the team. It's about being aware of what they need. It's about being aware of their sweet spots. It's about being aware of their gaps. But then it's also about being aware of ourselves and how we interact with that.
Yep.
We were talking about you can say something and have 10 different perspectives and 10 different ways that it's heard. And so we talk about a leadership dance. To me, this is really where that one starts coming into play on a strong level, where it's the giving and receiving and being aware of how do I impact other people and what do they need and how do I step back and step forward as a leader and how do I step into what they need and how do I need to step back so that they can grow and develop and try things on their own and experience things. And all of that is such a dance. And we can step on each other's feet from time to time.
We can. And, we work with teams literally across the world. So we've been, in our 22 years, we've seen a lot of teams. We've seen healthy teams and we've seen unhealthy teams. I think, though, the common denominator, I think where it all really begins with building capacity is to build a team that trusts one another so that when you step on each other's feet, you have that ability to go, you stepped on my foot, here's why, let's reconcile. But you can't have that without trust. If there's not trust in that relationship, same thing personally. If you try to go in and start telling someone, what they did that gets on your last nerve, or you try to start correcting someone, or you try without a trust, without them knowing you have their best interest at heart, you're not going to be successful. So how do you build those trusting teams, trusting relationships? And that takes work. We have a process for that as well. We won't go into it today, but needless to say, it's really important. I think capacity is directly linked to building that trust that allows you then to have a respect for all those different personalities, how you lead them, how you connect, I will say this too. I think it's a process. I don't think, oh well, I've arrived on the capacity milestone. Now I can move on. No.
Right.
It's fluid. You have to keep focusing on it. You have to keep working on it. It's not like you achieve it, put a flag in the ground, and move on. It's like no. It's about being able to continue to work on it every single day. I think.
And we do that trust piece is so big, and there are different levels of trust even.
Yeah.
We have a great seminar that Joanna May Rouse has put together that helps our teams we help other teams be able to work on that trust level.
Yep.
And it is a constant working on it, a constant being aware and being mindful to make sure trust is growing and trust is building. So we've got the capacity piece that we constantly need to work on. What's the fourth milestone?
Well, once you make that choice and you build your competencies, you have your capacity, and it's fluid. You're continuing to work on those relationships. Then it's about really contribution. And by contribution, I mean, how are you going to now grow your influence? So now you're about investing. If it's an organization, you're about investing in those leaders. You're about pouring yourself into those leaders who can carry that vision to those they lead and to the world. And so the contribution, you have to stop and ask yourself, what contribution do I want to leave on those around me? What is my narrative? What is my story? What is my message that I want to leave at the end of my days when it's done? What is it that do I want people to say, hey, he was a hard worker? Do I want people to say he built an empire? Or do I want to say people to say, he lived a life of value. He valued others. She valued others. They made an impact. He really cared about people. If that's if that's what you want your contribution to be, we have to be intentional about that. And this milestone is, as a mature leader, I'm now developing, mentoring, giving back, caring for other leaders, and helping to grow those muscles of leadership, building that legacy, building that contribution of influence, growing, literally expanding your influence. You heard the term circle of influence. Who is in your circle of influence? Well, generally that very first milestone is kind of small, right? But then ideally, as you walk through those milestones, it gets bigger and bigger. And when you get to that contribution, you're really focusing on that. Notice contribution is about giving away. You're not looking at this stage of leadership. You're not looking at yourself. You're not looking to grow your, in terms of your empire. You're really looking at, how do I give back? And our coaches do a beautiful job of that. I'm so proud of them. At this season of their life, many of them have said, I want to be a contributor. I want to contribute to the success of someone else. I want to help someone else to grow. I want to use my experience to contribute to others. And I see that in our organization. It's really cool.
So that contribution milestone is really a place to make sure that you're giving and serving in the manner that you want to.
That's well said.
That you're investing the time and the energy to really grow people at the next level. So, and Larry, you've done a tremendous job in doing that for our company and setting the bar to all of us, how to do that and what that looks like, and being such a strong model. And I know you've made that choice a long time ago to make the contribution in other people.
Well, I'll tell you, Melissa, thank you. But I feel so blessed to have the opportunity. We have great people. You lead them beautifully. Your leadership is amazing, and I learn from you literally every day. And I learn from each of our team. Even we got the mastermind back there, Robin, behind the scenes right now. Wow, is she amazing, by the way, guys? She's amazing. Robin is amazing.
Amazing.
She's the one that makes all this happen. And but I learn from each member of our team every single day. And that is so cool that I can keep learning and growing. It has been, I'm serious, as somebody said, here's a pen. How would you write the script of the last 22 years? You could do whatever you wanted to do. This would be, I'm having a blast. This is it. So I hope we can do this a lot longer. I hope we can continue to have fun and speak into the lives of others, regularly to help them, to help them to grow their leadership. But we have an incredible team that are all called to do what they do. And I'm really thankful they let me hang around. I hope they let me hang around a bit longer.
I want you to. We want you to. So as we finish up today, we've looked at 4 different milestones in the leadership journey. To recap, 1 is choosing, 2 is competencies, 3 is capacity, growing your team, and 4 is that contribution, being aware of what is your contribution and what is your story at that season of your life. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you for listening and being willing to learn. We're thankful for our relationship with you.
Yes.
So we want you to go and make a difference.